And now it is time for Bonington the Pirate. Ahoy there, me hearties! I am Captain Bonington, and welcome to Bonington the Pirate, the new YouTube show that is sweeping the nation. So, me hearties, are you ready to have some fun here on YouTube, kids? Good. I hope you lollygagging, liver-loving land lovers are ready. I know we can do. Why don't we sing the Pirate Bonington Shanty? Music. Oh, I'm a pirate, I'm a pirate, I'm a pirate, I'm a pirate, you're a pirate, be a pirate, everybody's a pirate. He's a pirate, she's a pirate, she's a pirate, he's a pirate, everybody is a pirate. Alright, that's enough of that. Jeez. The things that pass for entertainment these days. So uncivilized. Oh. Hi everybody, it's Donkey Troy here, the doctor is in. Yeah, I did shoot that bony guy over there. The Bonington the Pirate. You know, entertainment these days, especially on YouTube, is mediocre at best. And, we covered Sonic the Hedgehog a few videos ago. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. There is one piece of entertainment that has a very strong fan base that has kept it going for a very long time. And believe it or not, people actually made avatars of the characters. What is it that I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking about this. Yes, everybody. People have actually made avatars of this beautiful blue train by the name of Thomas the Tank Engine. And they not only have done that, but they've also made avatars of all of his friends. Or at least most of his friends. And so that's what this Vrchat 101 is going to be about. Because, unlike Sonic avatars, these things don't have hands. Yeah, so you're going to have to use your head and use your imagination. I mean, take a look at some of these characters that we have here. Now, they don't have all those avatars, but we're going to cover half of those avatars, actually. And it's going to be a lot of fun to actually do this. And this is going to be a really great video as well. So if we turn the camera back around and come down here to me, thank you. So, for today's episode, I'm going to show you how to use your Thomas avatars respectfully, but also some very cool tricks and hints and other sorts of things you can do with it. Because you know what? On Vrchat, you can actually freak some people's freaks, okay? Believe me, there's going to be enough people out there who are probably going to remember, Thomas the Tank Engine, and probably get freaked out because you are doing it justice. So we're going to do it in a brand new video that I like to call Do This, Not That, Thomas Avatar Edition. Roll the intro. You know, the last two VR chats that we've done were a little bit on the heavy side, so why not go ahead and do something a little bit more lighthearted? And you know, Thomas the Tank Engine has been a part of almost everyone's childhood. Whether you grew up with him, or maybe you found out about him as you got older. Thomas is in everybody's heart, really. And in some cases, you're never too old for it. Now, we have some really cool avatars here on VR Chat. However, some people have actually made some honest-to-goodness Thomas the Tank Engine avatars, and some of his friends, too. Oh, criminy. Yeah, what you're seeing behind me is actually a mistake that was left in one of the episodes. That's Edward with James's face. There's been a handful of mystic identities as well. Now, here comes the big problem that we're going to have. Unfortunately, we won't be able to showcase any of the avatars here on this world because some of them are a little bit too big for this world. Plus, these avatars need a lot of space. So, let me think here. I got it! Alright, everybody. We're going to go to an open world to just kind of show you all these different avatars. I don't know if there's going to be pens there, I don't know if there's going to be a red board there, but we'll see. So, for the magic of editing, we're here at Charlotte Motor Speedway to test out the engines. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why are we at a racetrack to test Thomas the Tank Engine avatars? Very simple. First of all, we need a big spot. We need a very, very big area to test out the engines. And if you take a look behind me, look at all this space we have. This will be perfect for us to test them all. Now, the first thing to know that when you're using a Thomas avatar, you're going to be you're pretty much going to end up stopping the conversations of anybody, depending on like who you're around or what kind of world you go to. Because believe me, not everybody is going to be prepared for seeing you in an avatar. Speaking of which, I think I see our first friend coming up right now. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you again. It's me, Thomas. Yes, that's right, everybody. So here I am as Thomas the Tank Engine. And as you can see, he's a cheeky little engine who lives in the big station on the island of Sodor. And his eyes can move around too. In fact, all the engine's eyes can actually move. So, when you're basically going to be Thomas, there's a few things to know about. First of all, you will see that a lot of people get very nostalgic when they see you. That's the thing too. You're going to have to know your Thomas stuff in order to kind of act like him. Next, you're also going to be making sure that you know all of his catchphrases, such as, bust my buffers, or fizzling fireboxes if you're into that kind of stuff. Or in some cases, you can even create something that, Thomas would say. And then, of course, another thing that you're going to have to, deal with is people that basically get freaked out because are, you're basically role-playing as a big old train. Now, don't worry so much about, having something like that happen. And the other thing too is this: you can actually see too that this train does have a couple of different faces. So you can also roleplay something like, hey kid, get out of here, or bust my buffers, I left my train behind. Or you can make yourself be a little bit cheeky, or you can put up the confusion like, why in the world what in the world did I just see? Or you can make it so that it looks like he's about to brace for something. But of course, one of the most important things to remember about, being Thomas is the fact that he always has a smile on his face. Now, if I actually back up a little bit and I go this way, notice how his wheels are actually turning. That's because one of the cool things about each of these avatars is that you can actually get the wheels to turn. So when you are Thomas the Tank Engine, you're going to have a lot of fun with this. You're going to have a lot of good fun. And also, some of these engines actually do have other things with them. So, like sometimes you can put on their snow plows, and also if you're feeling festive, Santa hats, really cute. And then there's also the train cars, which are usually Annie and Clarabelle. So you know what? How about we go for a little ride? How about I show you just kind of what Thomas looks like while pulling Annie and Clarabelle? And so that was a cool ride on Thomas. Thomas is actually going to be probably your best shot at doing a Thomas the Tank Engine avatar. And you know what? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people on Vrchat that'll just melt with childhood nostalgia after seeing him. Right, Thomas? You had to do the eye roll, didn't you? Alright, so now that we've seen Thomas the Tank Engine and his two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, and also ridden on him, next up we... Oh dear. I think I see who our next engine coming down the line is, and... Woo! He's big. Really big. Hello, everybody! It is I, Gordon, the biggest and proudest engine of them all. I am also, too, the only engine on Sodor that can pull the express. I'm the pride of the line. Yes, everybody, this is Gordon. As you can tell, he is extremely big. In fact, this is one of those avatars where you might want to save it for like a bigger world. Such as this racetrack, right, Detroit? Yes, Gordon. Even for a place like this. Now, if you're going to be Gordon in a world, there's a few things to remember. First things first is that you always want to make sure that Gordon is a reasonable size. Because believe me, he is super big even without his coaches. So basically check the world around you and make sure you give him the appropriate size. Another thing, too, is to be a little bit boastful, but without being too boastful. In other words, be like what I was, saying I'm the pride of the line, and also saying how grand you are at the only engine that you are to pull the express. Just make sure your friends are in on the gag. And another thing too to remember, especially when you're Gordon, is make sure you know exactly where you're looking. Because you can see, every time I turn my head, you can see that Gordon actually moves around. That's right. So make sure that there's plenty of room for me to swing my tender and to swing my coaches. Now, just like Thomas, he has the same stuff: a snowplow, which we always see at once, and he also has a Santa hat too. Very cute and very petite. In fact, this was gotten at the dollar store for about $6.99. Anyway, you don't have to worry too much about me, because if I was to turn off the coaches, see how much shorter I am? Indeed. Oh, by the way, too, you can also change the wheel speed of all these engines. Now, Gordon, yes, Dr. Detroit, I have an interesting question for you. What's that? Um, have you ever tried to give people rides at Kmart? Hmm. Rides at Kmart, hmm? Hmm. That sounds like an interesting idea. Hmm. I'll let Sir Topham Hatt know. For right now, I must go to the sheds, cause an engine like me needs some rest. Goodbye, Dr. Detroit. Good luck with the rest of the video. Okay, so there goes Gordon, off to go rest and everything. So the moral of the story is make sure that if you're going to be Gordon, make sure you don't do it in a small environment, and make sure you have enough room in order to have coaches and other things like that. Now, he said he was the only big engine. There's another big engine that I can think of. Hmm, but where is he anyway? Oh, there he is, right behind you. Whoa, man, look at you. Well, hello there, Henry. Oh, hello, Detroit. I am glad to see you. I guess you were talking to Gordon, huh? Yes, I was, Henry. I see. I've never been to a speedway before. This is new. Well, it's good to see you. By the way, what did Gordon say about me? He told me that he's the only one who can pull the express, and says that he's the prime of the line. Oh, nonsense. That's absolute balderdash. I pulled the express many times. But as you can see behind me, I have the Flying Kipper, or at least a variant of it. But, dear old Gordon. He is so boastful and everything. Well, Henry, do you mind if I tell the viewers about you a bit? Oh, yes, sir. Go for it. Go ahead and tell them anything you want about me. I got nothing to hide. Okay. Well, this is Henry, the Green Engine. Henry is actually a really cool engine, and he's actually somebody who I've also personally enjoyed myself. Now, as you can see, he's extremely long with, his freight cars behind him. In fact, he probably is a little bit longer than Gordon. Take that, Gordon. Now, if you're going to be Henry, here's a few things to know about Henry. First things first, a lot of people are going to remember that he was shut up in the tunnel for a good long while. Also, more people may even wonder, who the heck is that green engine? Because while Henry may not be one of the most popular engines in terms of nostalgia per se, at the same time, some people will actually be surprised to see a big green engine, a big 460 in their maps. Not to mention, my friend, that a lot of people also are big fans of me. which is very nice to think about, actually. And the last thing, too, to remember about using with this avatar, same thing with Gordon, size matters. So, Henry, can you go ahead and turn off your freight cars? There we go. So now you can actually see how big Henry looks right now. And believe me, he is very huge. I am very huge. He does have a snowplow, as you can see here, and of course he does have a Santa hat as well, which is also really great. Now, the main thing to remember about this type of engine is that if you have a real die-hard fan, you'll absolutely enjoy showing them this particular avatar. So you want to make sure that the size is a little bit down, because right now we have Henry here as kind of life size. In fact, all the trains that I've shown you just now are life size. So make sure you put them down the size of a toy almost, or just a little bit lower. You could even put us to the size of garden scale engines. That could work too. Yeah, that's a good point, Henry. Oh, by the way, Doctor, how many more avatars are you going to be showing? I think there's 2 more that are going to be coming in. Oh, good. In fact, I won't bother you during the filming, but I would like to stick around and watch you film. That's fine, Henry. Go ahead and throw yourself on the imaginary siding. Thank you. I will be off. Goodbye. Though I'm not quite sure where the imaginary siding is, but what are you gonna do? So far we have seen all those types of avatars, and I have to admit, seeing these and just explain a little bit about some of the do's and don'ts, I think all these avatars have the same don'ts. Don't go into a world where you know you can crash the world, so don't do that. Make sure that you're not, inside of somebody else with these avatars, and above all, make sure that people don't have cloning on, or make sure you don't have cloning on. Because when there's more than 2 Thomases in the same world, then people are just going to freak out. Now, let me think here. There's plenty more engines, but I think there might be a part 2 to this coming very soon. So now I think... Oh, that's who I'm hearing! I don't think the microphone's picking it up, but look who's coming down the track right now. Someone by the nickname of Old Iron. And not just any Old Iron. I'm talking about the Old Iron. Hello there, Detroit. It's good to hear you and see you again. That's right. Boy, it is so good to see you. So this is Edward, the blue engine. He does kind of have the same paint scheme as Thomas the Tank Engine, but he's a little bit bigger. Yes, I'm a mixed traffic engine too. That means I can pull coaches and freight cars. Yeah, and we saw a little bit of your freight cars too, Edward. Yes, I have a ton of them. Are any of those freight cars, are you able to actually get in those? I don't know. You may have to try that on a different world. Okay then. Well, let's go ahead and get rid of those cars for now. There we go. So, when you're going to be on a world as Edward, there's a few things you gotta know. One of the things you gotta know about Edward is that he is actually a lot shorter than Gordon or Henry put together. In fact, Edward is actually probably one of the best tender engines to pull out in a world. That's because you can actually make me bigger, smaller, or for that matter, I can even be a toy train shape. Right you are, Edward. The next thing you want to know is that if you're going to be Edward, Edward is not going to crash the world. That's because Edward does not have too many pieces on him that could crash it. In fact, I could actually roam around smaller worlds. I could even roam up and down your house if given half the chance. And the other thing too is that a lot of people who actually see Edward are going to remember that he was part of the original Steam team. That's right. I was not in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and sadly I was not in some of the other bits along with Henry, but I will always be a member of the Steam team no matter what. So Edward is definitely a great engine to use, and is a good all-around engine, quite like Thomas. And you know, Edward, I have to say this. I got a little confession. Yes, Detroit. You were one of my favorite engines. In fact, you're in my top 3. Top 3? Well, I am honored to be in your top 3. Who are your top 3? Thomas being number 1, you being number 2, and I'd have to say, maybe Henry is my number 3. Oh, you are a funny one, but I thank you for that. You know, there's one more engine that is roaming around here that I saw just before I came in. Really? Who is that? I'll give you a hint. He's old like me, and you'll recognize him from his signature sound. Anyway, I must be off. Goodbye. An engine we will know by its sound. Wonder who that is. Well, I know there's plenty more engines that we'll see in part 2, because there will be a part 2 coming down the road. In fact, if you guys want to see part 2, make sure you... Who was that? Wait a minute. I know that bell from anywhere! Oh! Here it comes now! Well, if it isn't the tram engine himself. Hello there, Detroit. Good to see you here on the platform. And it's good to see you too, Toby. Edward was telling me that you were actually coming over. Oh yes, I must be the oldest steam engine or steam tram here on the racetrack? Well, I guess I could be a little bit speedy, but I'm actually quite slow when it comes to being a tram engine. Yeah, but you know what? You are a fan favorite. So Toby the Tram Engine is really cool because he only has one car, and that is Henrietta behind him. Yeah, it seems Henrietta is a little bit off the rails, which is kind of strange, but well, she's great to have with me, you know? That's right. Now, if you're going to be Toby somewhere, there's a few things to know about Toby. So the one thing to know about him is that a lot of people are going to kind of remember Toby because he was definitely one of the original Steam Team engines. I was in Series 1 as well as Series 2. Another thing to remember about Toby is the fact that he's also a tram engine and is not electric. Electric indeed. Electric indeed. I know, Toby. And the even better part too is that just like Edward, he's very compact. So even if you remove Henrietta, see how compact he is? That means he can actually go to any world he chooses. Yes, that's right. I can even go to karaoke worlds and be okay as well. Also, I won't even crash anybody, unlike some big engines I know. That's right. So for that reason, Toby, I gotta ask you, when people use you, how should they voice you? Oh, give me a grand voice of some sort. Don't give me any of those little kid voices or those FNAF voices or anything like that. Just give us a good voice that everybody can be a part of. Whether you grew up with Ringo Starr, George Carlin, Alec Baldwin, Michael Angelis, or whoever else, just make sure you do us justice, okay? Now you heard it here from the steam engine himself. Now, Toby, I know that your tanks don't hold much water. You need to refuel? I absolutely do. Why don't you head down the track and go to Pit Road? I'm sure there's some water tipples there that you can use. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I must be going now. And now we've made it back to my place to kind of do a little recap of some of the avatars that we actually took a look at in the Thomas Tank Engine fandom. There's plenty more, like, Percy, Oliver, Duck, Boko, but that's a whole other video for a whole nother day. So now let's go ahead and recap here with our do this, not that list. So, for all these engines here, in fact, let me just go ahead and write this out really quickly. Excuse me. So, encompassing all these engines right here, here's what you should do in your do this. Basically take them to public places, because I'll tell you this. Nice spell, that is it. Take them to public worlds, because you never know who you're going to bump into, and who knows, they might actually freak some people's freaks out. So make sure you take them to public worlds. Do roleplay with them. Basically use voices. Make sure that you do these characters justice. Because if you just show up and you start talking like, oh yeah, I'm Thomas in the Hood, you're gonna be kicked within seconds, because believe me, nobody wants Thomas the Tank Engine in the hood. Okay? Or not even Mr. Foxy over there wants it. So definitely roleplay with them. And the next thing that you also want to do with them is also resize them, so that way they actually will be usable in almost any world. Because believe me, like I told you and like I showed you, all these guys here are pretty big. But engines like Edward, Toby, and Thomas, you could possibly get away with their big size. Because the good news here is that none of these avatars will crash your worlds, except for maybe Gordon and Henry, because of how big they are. And then last but certainly not least, if you're going to be in a world doing any of these things, expect people to freak out. Because you never really know who you're going to bump into. There we go. You never know who you're really going to bump into on any of those worlds. So expect people to basically freak out once they see that there's a big engine in there. Now, here is some of the don'ts that I'm going to tell you about. So, the don'ts here, do not use them for crashing purposes. Okay? So I don't want you guys to go to a world and, turn on their coaches or put them at max height, because these engines can crash a world. So, just stay safe, my friends. Just I don't know. Just don't do it, okay? As Gordon once said, it isn't wrong, but we just don't do it. Something else not to do is to also not allow any form of cloning in the same world. There you go. So always make sure that you have your cloning turned off when you are doing a Thomas the Tank Engine train. However, again, if you're somebody like Thomas or Edward or Toby, it's probably fine to actually, let people clone them. But be very careful, because sometimes if there's more than 2 in the world, things can get quite hairy. Another thing too is don't be cringe. Yes, everybody, do not go cringe on these engines. Because here's the thing, A lot of people these days, when they tend to roleplay, they tend to kind of go really angsty, and they can also be a bit of a problem. So never, ever, ever, ever make them cringe. And let me see. I think there's one more thing as well for the not that portion. Oh yes, do not take these out in small worlds. Yes, everybody, small worlds are not going to be your best friends. So make sure. That that's a weird W. Let me fix that really quick. There we go. So make sure that you do not mess up with them, or take them to smaller worlds where it can be very easy to crash a world or something to that effect. But anyway, I think we had a pretty good time checking out all those different Thomas avatars. Now, if you would like to find them, I'll leave a link in the video description below to the world where it actually takes you to those certain places, or actually to those avatars, and you people yourself can also check them out for yourself as well. Just remember that these things are really big, and they're a lot better in PC VR. But anyway, that's going to do it for this Vrchat 101. I know this one was not as informative as some of my other ones, but at the same time, it was a lot of fun because we needed something lighthearted. So a little do this, not that is always a little bit lighthearted. If you guys want to see more of those, make sure you hit the like button, don't forget to comment, and also subscribe. And I'll see you folks next time here on Vrchat 101. Until then, I'm Dr. Detroit. Take care, everybody.